Welcome to week 7. This week is on play, which I'm so excited about this week because I feel like this is an area where I still really need to grow. It's a area I've been trying to grow in for a long time, but it does take a great deal of privilege to be able to step out and make room, I think, for this area of growth. And so I just want to talk about play, talk about its importance, talk about God's view of play, and invite you into play. All right. So we've talked a lot in this course about how God is a God of rest. You are not created to work all the time, to perform all the time, to constantly be producing. God literally never asked for that. That energy does not come from him. Okay? If you feel that energy, it is not coming from him. He is the God who designed 1 day out of 7 that you take a rest, that women of most ages get a whole week off every month, that there are all of these festivals that literally cut into productivity and their bottom line, that like it's just not about that, right? So the thing about healing is that it requires play. What I mean about that is that you cannot work yourself into less anxiety. Okay. You can't read all the books to fix yourself, and you can't heal your body enough, like work out enough and eat all the right foods yourself into less anxiety, because all of those things become anxious, right? You become anxious about, did I eat the right enough food? Did I we become like hyperfixated on all those things, and then all of those things create anxiety. We cannot work ourselves into less anxiety. We cannot work ourselves into healing. We cannot work ourselves into rest. We have to rest into rest. We have to play into rest. We have to create into rest. So those are the 3 words. I want rest, play, create. Okay. Those are the 3 things I want us to really focus on this week. So first of all, let's just look at Sabbath again. What do you think? How do you think the ancient Israelites spent their Sabbath? So they can't work. They're in a tent in the wilderness. What are they doing? They're in the tent with other people. Maybe they're napping. Maybe they can't be reading, right? There's no books. They're probably telling stories. Yeah, that's a creative endeavor. They might be singing, playing instruments. They might be drawing. They might be playing games. They might be chatting and laughing. But they're not working. They're definitely not just sitting there. They're probably playing and creating. And part of how we know that, the creation part, is because that's, if we go back to the Garden of Eden, which, remember, this is like the design pattern is set in the Garden of Eden. And God tells us in Genesis 2 that when he created the garden, he did so with these rivers flowing out of it to literally draw them out of the garden. And as they are drawn out of the garden, they would discover gold and onyx and bdellium and all of these other things that would inspire them to develop mining and crafting and jewelry making and fashion design and architecture, right? So God wants us to be creative, which makes a lot of sense because we're created in his image, and he's creative. He creates. He wants us to create. And part of making space for us to rest is making space for us to create. It's making space for us to play. And play and creation, I think, are really tightly woven together. Play, creation, and rest are really tightly woven together. But here's how it relates to healing. So when we enter into creativity and play, it changes our nervous system. It tells our nervous system that we are safe. So when you are in survival mode, you are not capable of accessing play and creativity. It's not possible because your nervous system is on such high alert that it is impossible for you to rest enough to be creative and playful. When we start to come out of survival mode, when we can have forgotten how to be creative and how to play, especially if we were in survival mode for a really long time, especially if we've never not been in survival mode, right? If it's not something we've never had the freedom to explore. But if we can practice, and by practice, I mean like daily Bible reading is a practice that you put yourself through. You decide, I am going to commit to doing this. Or, working out 3 times a week. That is a practice that you put. A habit is another word for practice. If we can create habits to put ourselves in the mode, so like to habitually try to be creative and to be playful, we actually get to start to heal because it calms our nervous systems down. It tells our nervous systems that we're safe. A good friend of mine calls it mental cake. Like, there is something very relaxing to our nervous system about eating cake, because what it tells us is that there is such abundance and things are safe enough for me to eat cake. And so when I eat cake, it signals my whole self that we're safe and we're okay and there's enough, and I can stop being hypervigilant, and I don't have to worry about where my next bite comes from, because if we had enough to make this cake, there's probably enough food. In the same way, play and creativity tells our nervous system that we're safe, that we're okay, that things must be okay enough for us to be able to engage in this endeavor. So I don't know how many of you have kids that play Minecraft, or maybe play Minecraft yourself. I love playing Minecraft. I'm going to try to explain this because I'm sure not everyone knows how Minecraft works, but it's the difference between survival mode and creative mode in Minecraft. So in survival mode, when you play Minecraft, everything works on a day cycle. I'm going to explain the video game. You're gonna be like, what is she talking about? I promise this will make sense at the end. So you spawn into this world. There's trees, there's chickens, there's dirt, there's flowers, there's a world, there's water, whatever. And night is coming. And when night comes, the monsters are coming. Survival mode, there's monsters. So you have to cut down trees, build a house, create a light source. You have to do all of this before night comes, so that the monsters, so you have food to survive the night, so that you have shelter so the monsters don't get you, so you have light so that the monsters don't spawn inside your house, basically so you can survive, right? Everything you do for that first day is all about survival. And in fact, the first several hours that you play Minecraft, you are focused on surviving. You are asking yourself, what is the next thing I need to do in order to survive? And the way you play survival mode, you're going to do much more cutting down of trees, manufacturing tools, mining for resources, that kind of stuff. Creating weapons, those kinds of things. But there's a whole other mode that you can play Minecraft in. It's called creative mode. And in this mode, every resource available in the game is in your inventory, as if you're carrying it in your backpack. You can have cobblestones, you can have cacao seeds, you can have jack-o'-lanterns, you can have a boom box, you can have a bookcase, and it's just right there at your fingertips. So when you spawn in, there's this whole world, but you have all the resources you need. The monsters are coming, but you're okay because you have everything you need, right? And so the way you play creative mode is going to look so different. You're not going to spend your time cutting down trees because you already have wood in your inventory, all the wood you could need. You're not going to spend your time mining because you already have all of the minerals that you need in your inventory. So instead, you're going to spend your time building really cool buildings or exploring the island or enchanting things or whatever it is, right? So this is the difference between survival mode, where I'm just focusing on trying to survive and I'm just thinking like everything that I do, okay, is like, okay, what's the next thing I need to do to survive? And I know a lot of us have grown up in houses where that's where we had to be for our whole childhoods. And a lot of us have been stuck in it, whether it's because we've had a really intense career or because we've been moms. And being a mom, generally speaking, puts you into a form of survival mode where you're like, what is the next thing I need to do so that myself and my child can survive, right? And so there isn't room to like build incredible castles or tree houses or whatever, like there would be in creative mode, right? In survival mode. But if we can start to find ways to bring in creativity and play, if we can find opportunities to create and play and do all these things, it helps us to relax, it helps us to heal, it tells our nervous systems that we're safe, and it helps us to connect with our whole selves. So it teaches us freedom. It teaches us about who we are and how God made us. Yeah. So there's nothing super profound about this week. I just want you to spend some time. I want you to go through the journal prompts. I think that's the most important thing about this week. I want you to get in touch with what brings you joy. I want you to ask yourself, look back and when did you feel the most alive, the most joyful, the most like yourself? What were you doing? What activity were you doing? Who were you with? Were you alone? Were you with others? Who were you with? And, maybe, I don't want to say like find a hobby, but give yourself freedom to play. And that can be so simple. It can be watching stupid stuff instead of watching documentaries, right? Not because necessarily you love stupid videos, but because it tells your nervous system that you're safe, right? Maybe it's giving yourself permission once a week to cook and to not worry about if anyone's going to eat it, to put the kids to bed and then cook a meal for yourself because you used to enjoy cooking, right? I want us to, as much as we give ourselves rest, also find opportunities to use that rest to be creative and to play, because it is those two things that will help provide space for emotion to be emotionally healthy and to heal. So yeah, that's this week. And God wants you to play. He doesn't want you to work all the time. He doesn't want you to be serious all the time. And I think that what you'll find is that God isn't serious all the time. He's playful. He enjoys things. He invites us to enjoy things. He was creative because he wanted to be, not because he had to be, because it was fun for him. And I think he continues to create and to be creative and to be playful. So anyway, I'm really interested what the conversation will look like this week because this lesson is so different than the rest of them. But yeah, I look forward to it.